Welcome. And as I have here on the slide, we happen to be meeting at a time when there is a planetary parade. The planets have lined up from the point of view of humanity, and this won't occur again for another 400 years. So it is quite an auspicious time. I'd like to welcome you, those who've been with this process from the beginning, which is about, I think, 5 years ago. We started with opening to the energies of the new astrology, and that has led us to undertake the study of glamour and illusion. And we are now working through what DK calls the essential relations and beginning to integrate the other sciences that are part of the new astrology. So today we'll be focusing in our contemplative study with those that are important in and under the sign of Aquarius. Breathe into the water of life. Bring yourself into alignment. Physical, etheric, astral, and mental bodies, which are bodies that we have, and yet we are not those bodies. We attune to the soul and to the water of life that flows under the sign of Aquarius. Andrea.
Visualizing this one soul, uniting the souls of all our group members, those working with us subjectively, and those joining us from the other side of the veil. In unison, we sound the protective formula, uniting touch, hands, light, and love, while making the sign of the cross of divinity. As the soul, we work in light, touching the forehead, and darkness cannot touch us, touching the heart. We take our stand within the light, touching the left eye. We work, and from that point, we never move, touching the right eye.
Let us focus on the theme of service. We're working through the 5th essential relation and will begin the 6th essential relation. The 5th being that of the relation of the centers above the diaphragm with those below the diaphragm. And the 6th essential relation, the relation of the 2 head centers, involving the Ajna center ruled by Aquarius. Ellen.
Before we begin, let us align as soul and as a group and see our group approaching Master DK's study. I am the soul. I am light divine. I am love. I am will. I am fixed design.
Let us in unity sound a silent Om, affirming the protection of the guides of the race and our identification with soul as a group soul. Donna.
How can I, in my small sphere, be of service to the world? Let me, Master DK, reply to these questions by pointing out that by thinking this teaching into the minds of the public, by expressing before your fellow men the teaching it imparts, and by a life lived in conforming with its teaching, your service is very real.
Martine.
Service can be defined as a spontaneous effect of soul contact. This contact is so definite and fixed that the life of the soul can pour through into the instrument which the soul must perforce use upon the physical plane.
Ben.
Service is a soul instinct, therefore innate and peculiar to soul unfoldment. Service is the outstanding characteristic of the soul, just as desire is the outstanding characteristic of the lower nature. Service is group desire. Just as in the lower nature, it is personality desire. Service is the urge to group good. Service cannot therefore be taught or imposed upon a person as a desirable evidence of aspiration, functioning from without and based upon a theory of service.
Let us think about our service activities and include this activity, thinking the teachings into the minds of humanity. Our service activities, service as group desire, service as the urge to group good. All coming as instinct from the soul, through which we know innately soul enfoldment will occur. Study of the essential relations involves the centers. In the fourth relation, we looked at the relation between the soul and the personality, the problem that's engrossing the attention of aspirants now, for they are the pioneers of the human family, the pathfinders into the world of the soul. And it is with this relation the mystics and occultists, we among them, concern ourselves. And we began the study of the fifth relation, the relation between the centers below the diaphragm and those above. And will continue in Pisces with the sixth relation, the relation between the two head centers, between the center between the eyebrows, the Ajna, and the center above the head. Therefore, we're going to take some time today to look more in depth at this important center, the Ajna center. Catherine.
The Ajna Center symbolizes the dualistic nature of manifestation in the three worlds in relation to intention. It fuses the creative energies of the throat and the sublimated energies of desire, or the true love of the heart, and thus is peculiarly related to the second ray of love and wisdom as two poles of creation in this solar system. Agni Yoga, Rajna Yoga, concentration, Bhakti Yoga, mantra yoga.
Andrea.
The Ajna center is the center between the eyebrows and is found in the region of the head just above the two eyes, where it acts as a screen for the radiant beauty and the glory of the spiritual man. A. It corresponds to the physical sun and is the expression of the personality, integrated and functioning, first of all as the disciple, and finally as the initiate. This is the true persona or mask. B. It achieves this functioning activity fully by the time the third initiation is taken. It is the organ for the distribution of the energy of the third aspect, the energy of active intelligence. In the work of the initiate, as he works out the divine purpose according to the plan, the Ajna center becomes the directing agent or the distributor of the blended energies of the divine man. C. It is related to the personality by the creative thread of life and is therefore closely connected with the throat center, the center of creative activity, just as the head center is related to the center at the base of the spine.
In the coming weeks, we'll look more closely at this relationship, for it is the relationship between the new group of world servers as the Ajna center and humanity as the throat center. These two illustrations or images are put side by side. On the right, we have the image given to us in the blue books from the Tibetan that shows the reflection of the spiritual triad in the personality when it is complete. And that occurs when the Ajna center is entirely under the control of the soul. On the left, we see the image that is given to show how the Ajna center begins to function in ordinary man. The eyes, the right eye, the agent of astral force, and the left eye, the agent of mental force. As man progresses, form a triangle with the third eye. And as the causal body develops, and the vortices or the petals of the lotus open, in the causal body, the third eye develops. The Ajna center in the average person, average man, uses the Ajna center or the self as the screen for the right eye And at that point, it is the eye of the astral body, tinged with whatever the man has achieved in terms of Buddhic contact, soul contact, transmitting the energy of the astral body in the left eye, the eye of Manas, or mind, directing the energy of the lower mind. The process occurs and progresses as the soul or higher mind begins to have any awareness. Buddhi begins to impress the astral nature and sensitivity, and gradually that Buddhic impression is established. The focus is the etheric body. The man or woman is on the mutable cross. The Ajna, DK tells us, could appear as the wings of an airplane, the two lobes appearing to a psychic. The third ray of creative activity is prominent, and it relates to the personality by the creative thread. So pause here and consider those that you know directly who are at this point in terms of the development of the Ajna Center. You might think of a child, for in that stage of development, the right eye is interpreting and bringing through the astral sense, and the left eye, the lower mind. And we see much progression as the imagination develops, and creative visualization and creative listening can occur. If you've been a teacher or an educator, you may have witnessed this, and a parent, of course, or a grandparent. The Ajna center, or the center between the eyebrows, concerns the lower mind and psychic nature, and that integrated organism we call man, the personality. And we can see the influence and the awakening of the soul through the development of the personality of the individual. Heike.
This center, having only two real petals, is not a true lotus in the same sense as are the other centers. Its petals are composed of 96 lesser petals or units of force, 48 plus 48, that's 96. But these do not assume the flower shape of the other lotuses. They spread out like the wings of an airplane to the right and left of the head, and are symbolic of the right-hand path and the left-hand path, of the way of matter and the way of spirit. They constitute symbolically, therefore, the two arms of the cross upon which the man is crucified, two streams of energy or light placed outward, the stream of life descending from the monad to the base of the spine and passing through the head.
In his other writings, DK tells us that up until the third initiation, and as we noted from the diagram, the image that DK gave us, that the Ajna Center is not fully opened until the third initiation, the left-hand path is still open to the aspirant in the first and even second initiation. And so we might not be quite as puzzled when we see or the expression of personalities exhibiting behaviors and moving toward in a direction that is more along the left-hand path, particularly those that are really caught up in materialism and without the expression of compassion, wisdom, freedom of choice, and justice. It's a good indication, not that the person isn't developing, but that they're making a choice to follow another path. The dense physical externalization of the Ajna Center is the pituitary body. The two lobes of this gland correspond to the two multiple petals of the Ajna center. And it expresses imagination and desire in their two highest forms. And these are the dynamic factors lying behind all creation. This relates us back to the constitution of man and our chart tabulation of senses with the astral sixth plane, 6-1 being emotional idealism, relating to the astral permanent atom that is in the causal body. And the second subplane, imagination. Again, those educators and people working with those who are trying to control the astral plane, creative visualization using sight is a way to dynamically lift and create in their mind, the child's or the person experiencing a trauma, create imaginatively an ideal state of calm and peace. And this is from the tabulation DK gives us, just bringing it into our minds again, that there is this triangle that is developing and the soul energy is descending, that impulse, and that is through the Ajna center, the energy of initiation. That being our goal, the initiation for humanity in this fifth root race, the intuition developing, and the development of inclusiveness, 5 centers rapidly awakening, and it becoming the focal point of the personality for humanity, being the personality of the planetary logos when initiated. Mary Gale.
An active interplay, once established between the Ajna center and the throat center, produces a creative life and a manifested expression of a divine idea on the part of the initiate. In the same way, the active interplay between the head center and the center at the base of the spine produces the manifestation of the divine will or purpose. The forces of the ajna and the throat centers, when combined, produce the highest manifestation of fire by friction, just as the energies of the head center and the basic center produce the individual electric fire, which, when fully expressing itself, we call the Kundalini fire.
There is much to ponder in this teaching. It is truly expressive of the effect of that fifth essential relation, the higher center, the ajna, and the throat, then affecting the lower centers. And this occurs by the use of the triangles, and we will consider those in a future weekly session. But it's really important that we have established in our minds the interplay that is occurring, because it does occur even before the first initiation, the Ajna center and the throat center, producing a creative life. But on the level of the initiate, it becomes the expression of the divine idea. It's a big distinction, and one that is really important for all of us to consider in our own lives, and also consider this in relation to our group work. How do we establish our group Ajna center? Through concentration, through meditation, and through contemplation. It's one of the first really important goals for a group, to establish the group Ajna center. That triangle of Buddhi, Manas, and the spiritual or third eye. There's a lot of text on this slide. Let's not read the whole text, but just pause after reading the upper portion, and briefly contemplate the relationships that we're given, that the Tibetan gives us, considering the third eye, the right eye, and the left eye. This triangle of the Ajna center, through which the fourth creative hierarchy on its own plane finds expression. Also, this hierarchy, humanity, the human family, is fused and blended. As initiates and disciples, aspiring to become initiates, we orient to the head center of humanity. The head center of humanity, which can relate the monad of humanity and the personality of humanity. The Ajna center relates the spiritual triad, the expression of the monad in the formless worlds, because we have here, in the symbolism of the head center, physically considered the reflection of spiritual will, Atma, and spiritual love, Buddhi, reflected in first the causal body, the soul vehicle, through the third eye, the right eye, and the left eye, bringing together this triangle of the head center, Ajna center, throat center. And creatively imagine above the triangle of Shambhala, hierarchy, and humanity. Through the causal body, touching the petals, and there are three that you, as an individual, are working on in this life through your service. One of the petals is fully opened. One of the petals is opening. And then another petal is just beginning to see the light of the opening. And from that triangle into the third eye, right eye, left eye triangle. And then activating around two of the glands, in addition to the two glands of the right eye and left eye, pituitary and pineal gland. You're also activating the carotid gland and the thyroid gland. And it becomes a 5-pointed star. Now lift that energy, that light, love, and will to create the antakarana within your own causal body, and imaginatively activate the will, your spiritual will, and build the antakarana. Project that line of light imaginatively to connect directly with the soul and the Buddhic plane, the spiritual triad. This third eye is an energy center which we construct. It's a correspondence to the energy center, the causal body, constructed by the monad. Therefore, you see in the diagram 3 spheres, all interconnected. When these 3 eyes are functioning and all of them seeing simultaneously, you will then have insight into divine purpose as the initiate. The third eye, during this whole process as you develop it, is the distributor of soul energy. And the Ajna center then focuses that energy as the distributing agent for soul energy to the developed aspirant through the developed aspirant on the path. Intuitive vision of the plan occurs for the disciple, and a spiritual direction of the resulting creative activity occurs for the master. Aika.
The Ajna Center registers or focuses the intention to create. It is not the organ of creation in the same sense that the throat center is, but it embodies the idea lying behind active creativity. The subsequent act of creation producing eventually the ideal form for the idea. The Ajna center is very closely related to the throat chakra. The throat chakra is the thought form making factory. When both are blended, they produce the highest manifestation of the fire by friction, or the third aspect of divinity. The Ajna blends and fuses heart and throat energies. The Ajna expresses imagination and desire in the highest forms. Imagination and desire being the dynamic factors behind all creation. The Ajna relates the spiritual triad to the personality.
consider for yourself and for your groups the importance of the Ajna center. For in terms of essential relation 5, the higher and the lower centers, the Ajna is blending heart and throat in the progression to polarization above the diaphragm. And it is a progression in the second, what we call the second initiation, up to the third. This is very important for us. And it is what we create using the third eye that we create. The Ajna center is the organ of idealism, therefore. And curiously enough, it is closely related to the sixth ray, just as the head center is essentially related to the first ray. The sixth is peculiarly linked to the third ray and the third aspect of divinity, as well as to the second ray and the second aspect. The Ajna center, as this organ of idealism, fuses, anchors, and expresses. This is a fact which DK says he has not hitherto emphasized in his other writings. So let us repeat that. The Ajna center, as the organ of idealism, connected to the second, third, and sixth ray, fuses, anchors, and expresses. The fusion with the second ray, anchoring the sixth ray, and expression the third ray. One possible way to interpret. The Ajna center is the point in the head where the dualistic nature of manifestation in the three worlds is symbolized. It fuses the creative energies of the throat and the sublimated energies of desire, or the true love of the heart. Ben,
When the service rendered is based upon a mental response to humanity's need, then the whole problem is lifted out of the veil of illusion and out of the valley of the world glamour. Then the impulses to serve are registered in the heart center and not in the solar plexus. And when this is more generally the case, then we shall have a happier and more successful demonstration of service.
so truly becoming the observer, using the triple light that we develop by using the technique of light in the glamour work, allows us to lift out of illusion and truly register in the heart center as our intention, motivation, the purity of our motive, inspired by that loving heart. We offer ourselves for our service. And we make that offer as a group to those we seek to serve. Andrea.
Aquarius, the jar of water, posed upon the shoulders in a sign of the burden of service. It is not easy to serve. On the fixed cross, the cross of transmutation, desire becomes aspiration, and selfishness is transformed into selflessness.
Martine.
Sorry. The Aquarian light that shines on earth across the sea. Thus, humanity serves, and in the development of a conscious aptitude for service, in the growth of a conscious understanding of the individual part to be played in the working out of the plan, and in the rendering of the personality subject to the soul, will come the steady progress of humanity towards its goal of world service.
And Aquarius rules the Ajna center. So as we progress, we are again endeavoring to touch the rain cloud of knowable things, cleared and free of the fogs of glamour and illusion. We want to touch the Buddhic plane. Margie, would you read this for us, please?
The Buddhic plane, or fourth cosmic ether, is the plane whereupon A, the sacred planets function, B, man will eventually function freed from the triple lower man, matter as form, C, the true meaning of the words divine, hermaphrodite is therefore to be comprehended. D, it is predominantly the plane of life force and one of the planes of generation. E, here man will, for the first time, understand and utilize his relationship with the Devas, a point of attainment for humanity in the sixth root race. F, it will see the fruition of the combined evolutionary process of the two solar systems, first and second, resolution of duality, and then the third solar system, synthesis. G, it is the plane from whence all planetary avatars emanate. H, the heavenly men take the first initiation on this plane. I, on this plane, the true inner significance of the sun is apprehended. More I cannot say, but careful study of that which is here given may open up much of that is of significance in the study of the macrocosm and the microcosm.
So this plane of intuition, we seek to touch. where we will for the first time understand and utilize our relationship with the devas. So this will not occur for individuals taking initiation until after the fourth initiation. One thing to note in terms of initiations, there are 5 compulsory initiations on this planet. And I believe when he says the heavenly men take their first initiation on this plane, that relates to those who are moving out of this planetary life into the much higher initiations. They become heavenly men when they take initiation on the Buddhic plane, the first initiation. It's just speculation on my part from what I have been taught and what I have investigated on my own. This is a very intricate, deep discussion of this plane that we attempt to reach, touch. Aquarius on the fixed cross develops this Ajna system. And if we look at this ancient rendering, we are, ordinary man is down here at the very base in terms of the Ajna chakra. And it gives us a depiction of the 3 and 4 stages that occur for ordinary man in the probationary developing phases. And then lifting up here, you see this is Buddhi. This would be that 4th initiation when man identifies in the spirit, is initiated to the spiritual triad. And it goes even further, this whole system up to the ajna of the planetary logos, and then further. And we can only speculate what those systems might be. Aquarius on the fixed cross develops the ajna system. Ellen.
As above, so below. 2 groups of beings. One is a small group of the knowers of the purpose, the custodians of the will. And the other is a much larger group, the personnel of which are known as the wise ones and the attractive energies of Shambhala, those who function at this highest level of the cosmic physical plane. On this level, dynamic energy is held as in a great reservoir of potency and directed by these 2 groups, which embody the will and the quality of the will of deity, called by us the will to good. They are the directing agents and are a correspondence to the Ajna center of mankind. Only here it is the Ajna center of the planetary logos. The knowers of the purpose, the custodians of the will, uniting at the Ajna.
And I apologize, I forgot to add the text box that is the wise ones and the attractive energies of Shambhala, which is that larger group of very high beings. So it's really outside this circle we have that includes humanity, hierarchy, and Shambhala. That Ajna center is the connecting, distributing agency that then is linked to the new group of world servers. And we will actually consider that further, the ashrams of the masters and the new group of world servers in another triangle. This is a different way of depicting the way in which these are connected. I included it because of DK's reminder in a treatise on white magic that humanity is in reality the brain of the planetary deity, in its many units being analogous to the brain cells in the human apparatus. And we have on the right-hand side humanity, the planetary throat at this time, through the initiatory process to become part of the new group of world servers, the planetary Ajna at this time, as the intermediary. And that planetary Ajna being related to the two groups forming the two lobes of the planetary Ajna, the Ajna of the Lord of the world. As above, so below. It's another interesting note that we've gone over before is that the monad is considered the third eye of the Lord of the world. Catherine.
Aquarius governs the Ajna center and the awakening of the Ajna center on the points of the fixed cross. The awakening of the Ajna center, the new group of world servers, with the consequent and subsequent conscious control of the throat center, humanity, must inevitably take place, provided the disciple fulfills two conditions. He can then become consciously, safely, and correctly creative. These two conditions are a conscious orientation towards the soul and towards the hierarchy, a deep love for humanity, present and based on mental perception and intuitive understanding, and not on emotional reaction.
Fulfillment of the first condition we endeavor to do as we unite in our group, work, and orient to the hierarchy, and in our service to dissipate glamour and dispel illusion and devitalize Maya. We're working on the second condition. So let us build and expand the bridge of light. Along this stream, both the ascending and the descending life quality and ray characteristics can pass at will, and the disciples will increasingly register the things of the Spirit. So as we use meditation 5, we're in the process of becoming what I would call higher quality recipients of impressions, the first two words that we use in the first 2 weeks or 2 months of the practice of Meditation 5. Recognizing as we do this on a regular basis the spheres of movement and the spirals that take us deeper into the understanding of the teachings and assist us in service as we dedicate ourselves as members of the new group. Mary Gale.
The light that shines on earth across the sea. This is the light which ever shines within the dark, and cleansing with its healing rays that which must be purified until the dark has gone.
This particular description of the light of Aquarius means so much in terms of those who are doing the healing work and the work to dissipate glamour and dispel illusion. And I'm reminded that, when we do begin to identify a glamour, we're identifying what is shining astral light in the dark. And so the language, especially for those of us who have a strong second ray orientation, the language can be disheartening. But let us take heart and know that under the light of Aquarius, in service, we can identify those astral lights that are shining in the dark as individual, group, and world glamour. And then using the triple light, the light of mind, brain, mind, and soul, we dissipate, we dispel, and we devitalize so that the healing rays can pour in. Margie.
All progression in the realm of consciousness is naturally by a graded series of awakenings, but this would proceed much more gradually and cover a longer period of time than is the case under our present planetary conditions. This particular mode of developing the consciousness of the human family was initiated by the hierarchy during the Atlantean root race at the latter end of the fourth subrace, and will persist until the middle of the next round. At that time, the needed stimulus will have been imparted, and as 3/5 of the human family will then have esoterically set their feet upon the path, and a large percentage of them will then be in the process of becoming the path itself, the more normal routine will again be resumed.
As early as Initiation Human and Solar, published in the first part of the previous century, DK spells out for us the long trajectory, and yet, through all of his teachings, gives us all that we need in order to continue forward, to persist. and to follow the path of enlightenment. For reception of impressions of ideals and ideas from the hierarchy, the spiritual triad, alignment and vibration must be understood, achieved, and practiced. As DK says in Letters on Occult Meditation, forget not either that it is largely a question of matter and vibration. The abstract levels of the mental plane consist of the three higher planes, the first being that termed spiritual discernment. As I've explained to you, each subplane has its correlations on the major planes. So we need to keep in mind as we attempt to align and build into our bodies the matter, the physical, the etheric site of the lowest, seventh material, etheric, physical plane on the third subplane, that of creative activity, emotional, clairvoyance on the sixth or astral plane, again, creative activity, and the mental, the higher mental, spiritual discernment. So that the matter of these third subplanes, then the higher self commences consciously and ever more continuously to function through the aligning personality. So through our concentration, meditation, contemplation, and service, we're building in these higher vibrations. And he goes on to say, perhaps we might reverse the idea and state that it is only when third subplane matter of a certain percentage, and it's a secret of initiation, is contained in the vehicles, that the personality, as a conscious whole, recognizes and obeys that soul, higher self. So we are in the process of doing this. And I invite you again to use meditation 5, focused on precipitation and reception. And I'm sure that you have this and you can follow. We have examples that are posted on YouTube. Just take the text yourself, following the recognitions that we learned in meditation 4, and then polarizing ourselves consciously on the mental plane, tuning out all lower vibrations, orienting to the spiritual triad, invoking the spiritual will as we do in the glamour meditation, and use those. For the time has now come when there are enough people to be found, having found themselves made the religious and the mental approaches to truth definite factors in their consciousness in some measure, and that includes all of us, and having established enough soul contact so that we can begin to touch this world of ideas upon the intuitional levels of consciousness. Together and as a group, we become more and more sensitive to the incoming new ideas, which should condition the new age that is upon us. And together and as a group, we can establish the ideals and develop the techniques and methods of the new schools of thought, which will determine the new culture that is as yet not in place. Together and as a group, we can bring these ideas and ideals into the consciousness of the masses so that schools of thought and world religions can be blended into one and the new civilization can emerge. This is the progression, and I apologize for going over the hour, but let's go through the progression that we undertake with meditation 5. when we take the theme word and we ponder on it for 5 minutes. And if any of you have done this, I'm going to pause the recording to share some ideas or thoughts that you have about the method, and endeavor to extract the quality of the word and its life, thus lifting it and your thought to as high a plane as possible, requiring silence, concentration, and receptivity. So some of us have been using the word recipient and will begin using the word impression. Therefore, during Aquarius, we'll be focusing on those two particular words that DK gives us. I'm going to pause briefly. And this is just again focusing on that we are this brain, we are the brain cells beginning to fall into this larger divine rhythm. And we are learning the nature of responsiveness. And those we are attempting to serve the mass of humanity, millions of unused brain cells. And psychologists and scientists and educators are working with those, the intelligentsia are working with those unused brain cells to lift and aid all of us. So precipitation occurs when we assume the attitude of highest expectancy in meditation 5, and we express in our own words, and then hold the mind in the light, noting our thoughts, what comes to us, what we receive, and what the present world opportunity and how that present world opportunity relates, and universalizing the concept to world affairs. This is a powerful thing to do in my own experience, and I think others would say as well. And then to act as the analyzer of the ideas, which is quite a challenge. But choose one of the ideas, relate it to life and how you would express it, and then study the idea in connection with yourself. And I do think that if you have a pledge that you use that pledge. But if you don't, the pledge of love, the path of love, is an appropriate way to close meditation 5. Donna.
I pledge myself to the path of love. I demand of my soul that I, the spirit and form, shall act as a channel of compassion and an instrument of love until I know myself to be love itself. I am that love. With pure intent I serve. To this in knowledge full I pledge myself.
Thank you for your service. Deep gratitude for this group. And we will continue next week using what we have learned related to the centers and beginning to integrate it with the science of triangles. And we'll use the triangles of Aquarius that are most important for Aquarius. Blessings to you all. Om Mani Padme Hum. be with you.